Hello, this is Kurt Brown, also known as St. Rambone, formerly Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation bank examiner and an investigative journalist. I've been doing some investigating since I kind of returned from a coma with a loss of memories. I just came back in 2011. I was out from 2001, the first injections, to 2011. I want to talk to you today about risk. Risk is what the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation is basing their insurance rates on at banks. U.S. banks have to pay for insurance. They're basing the risk rates for the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, which is a federal agency, is basing their risk rates on risk, or their insurance rates on risk, rather. Since I was working at the FDIC in 1999, I learned many things there. I learned that your life is in danger, number one. Number two, your banking system is basically turned upside down, which is why you're hurting right now. Let me give you a brief history of how the FDIC is doing this, of the federal government. In 1991, the FDIC Act of 1991 was enacted. It allowed the butchering of banks and for early resolution, the restitution. More like early resolution and early restitution for the mob bosses who wanted in. I will put links in this video to accompany my statements to prove what I'm saying. So all you have to do is look in the information section of this video to find the links. The FDIC Act of 1991 was a result to the savings and loan crisis. Sacks of money were being carried out by Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation bank examiners. Not to say that they kept it, but the mob bosses who ran the audits probably kept quite a bit. In around 1991, the regional director of San Francisco's FDIC, that's a huge office, encompasses the Pacific Rim, he was shot and killed in his office and called a suicide. I say, liars! Liars! I worked there afterward. Place is scary, buddy. Ha! I'll go into that later. In 1993, the Glass Steagall Act was enacted to form the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation. Clinton came in 1999. I think he was insane, had a wire in his head, and he threw out the 1993 Glass Steagall Act. He brought in the Gramm-Leach-Bliley Act, the Financial Services Modern Act of 1999. That's another name for it. The Financial Services Modernization Act of 1999. Also known as the Gramm-Leach-Bliley Act. It did away with the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation's act that was initially started. The Glass Steagall Act was actually formed in 1933 after the bubble burst in the United States and they had the stock market crash. There was a lot of people worried about starvation at the time as well. It has to do with starvation in the end because what the Glass Steagall Act did was made banks clean up their act. So us accountants, which I have a degree in, one of my degrees, I have other training in medicine, computers, physics, and a few other things. Yeah, physics. Study physics, kids. Make it your specialty. You'll be able to leave the planet. Right. In 1933, the Glass Steagall Act. In 1999, Bush got rid of it. Muddied the waters for accounting. Now the muddied waters, having been evaporated as you would do in a lab, has turned out to be pure caca. The banking system is about to go belly up. One way you can say this is that you can look at what happened with Wachovia Bank. They did go belly up. However, in 1999, while I was there, my boss's subdivision, and his subdivision was in Rockland, California. He worked for the FDIC, he was my manager. His subdivision was doused with fuel. He told me it was jet fuel. It turned out it might be jet or diesel. The pipeline went from Reno, Nevada to Rockland, California. The entire subdivision had to be evacuated. Then, in 2000, I was working at Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation in San Francisco. My boss and I were the only ones in our office in San Francisco, which is a separate office from the regional headquarters office. It's on another street closer to the Tenderloin than Market Street, if you know what I'm saying. People would come in there without I don't know who they were. They came in at one time yelling at the regional director of the bank examiner in charge of the Santa Rosa Bank examination, yelling at him in an office. They were yelling at each other. I finally went to the restroom, and there I heard a scuffle when I going by the door while I was in the restroom. I don't know if they were leaving, or if they were trying to take over the banking system, or if they were harming him. Very scary job. About that time, my boss, we were in a Bank of Hawaii examination, bank in Hawaii, Donna Tanao, was still the regional, she was actually the chairman of the board of Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation. She was also from Hawaii, but I was in Hawaii at a bank examination. And my boss wanted me to go up to the hotel room to do the work. I did not trust FDIC employees due to the regional director being killed in San Francisco around 1991 with his own gun in his office and called suicide. Due to the fact that my boss in Rockland, California, in the Roseville FDIC office, his home in Rockland, California was evacuated, the whole subdivision, due to fuel. And also, I did not trust anything where there's going to be arguing and fighting behind closed doors, as what I know happens many times at these San Francisco bank examiners in charge. And behind closed doors it happens, at least I saw it happen. This one person wanted me to go to the hotel room. I said no. They gave me a bad rating and then had me terminated. Why did I not want to go at the hotel room? Number one, I've already put in my 8 hours. Number two, I don't trust the FDIC employees. Number three, I didn't know if they were going to stick a needle in me while I was in there. I did not trust them. Anytime there's $1 million of money on the table, millions of dollars, do not let your small head leave the big head. In other words, don't be led there sexually, and beware of free money. There's no such thing. I was injected in 2001, and the government stopped my journalistic efforts to investigate the murder at the FDIC. And also, I was investigating a sheriff who was a thief, Jack Tillman of Mobile, Alabama, now proven. He was pushed out in 2005. It was 2001 I was forcibly injected. 2004 again I was injected. Knocked unconscious and held for 3 days and robbed for $3 grand of money, and they lost my car keys. This is at Flagstaff Medical Center. I came in to get a little burn checked on my neck. One of their mob bosses had probably sprayed fuel on me or some sort. I saw actually some toxic waste trucks in New Mexico. It looked like gangs were fighting and on the highway in I-40. So I came in to see what was on my neck and to ask them to check my vehicle for radiation. They injected me, knocked me unconscious. I didn't know at that time that Wachovia Bank was probably being set up to launder money with a Casio de Cambio. Forget the other part of it. Casio de Cambio Puebla. Some Mexican money laundering house down on the border at one time. Hooked in with Wachovia Bank. Wachovia Bank was allowed to launder those monies as suspicious activity reports were not filed as in accordance with the Know Your Customer Acts of 1970s. Because Wachovia Bank was allowing the laundering of money because we were being beat up and basically tortured, obviously, attacked in California. They allowed it, they did not bust the SARS, the suspicious activity reports in the United States. No auditor for the state, no auditor for the federal government, and no auditor for the bank caught this in the United States. Hundreds of us. These suspicious activity reports are not hard to figure out. A first grader could do it if he had a logical mind to process this. Wachovia Bank then was busted by a UK auditor, London, UK, London, United Kingdom. Martin Woods, his name was Martin Woods. He allegedly busted as a cop there in the UK. What I think has happened is this. The weight of the audit was shifted from one foot to the other. Meaning, the weight of the audit went from the United States to the United Kingdom. There, the United Kingdom caught the guys with all the money in the bank in Wachovia. I'm sure the accounts were fat and full of drug money, casino money, and stolen monies from the government. Many governments, most likely. The money was caught in Wachovia Bank in the United States. It was caught and it was seized. In 2008, Wachovia Bank was forced to be sold. Because the SARS were caught in their money laundering, it was 1/3 of the GDP of the gross domestic product of Mexico. That's how much money was going through this bank in the United States. They allowed it to run, in my opinion, until the accounts were full, and they shut it down. I'm talking about the FDIC basically came in, the Treasury, and a bunch of the others, and shut them down. The audit weight shifted from USA to UK. They call it the SARS. Like I said, I'll have links to prove this in the information section. The UK auditor sued Wachovia Bank. I was actually ejected, tortured, knocked unconscious. I'd forgotten about the diagnosis of even having a stroke from 2004 to 2011. And now I can't sue because of the statute of limitations. But this man in London, Martin Woods, sued for millions of dollars and made his own company, Hermes Forensic Solutions. I tried to call them recently. He did not return my call. I'm beginning to wonder what's going on here, dudes. I can't get a job. You're basing your audits on risk. The FDIC bases their insurance rates on the risk, and the risk determined by the audit. When the reality of the Act of 1999, which was the the Financial Securities Modernization Act of 1999, did away with the FDIC. But they're going in now saying, well, we're going to shut down your bank because you are a money launderer. Now, why didn't they catch this before if they're supposed to determine risk? Sweet Carol, this is a message to the FDIC Board of Directors and Chairman. I would like to sit on the board. I would like to have free reign in what I do. I'd like to get a first-class United Airlines ticket with a $200 a day stipend for food. And I would like to have free reign on my hotels as far as within reason. At least a comparable, say, $200 average. In New Orleans, we'll say that average into San Francisco may be $300 a night. I will audit your SARS. I will watch your board of directors. I will work basically for barter. If we can work this out with the VA, who pays me a small amount of money now that's very limited and going to stop. I don't even have health care. The FDIC bases their insurance rates on risk. No one was punished in the USA at the Wachovia Bank. They were allowed to audit money. So there is no risk in money laundering. This is a message to the FDIC Board of Directors, Sweet Carol. Is there no risk in money laundering? When you look, let me tell you, boys and girls, when you look at financial statements, money laundering looks profitable. There is no risk in making money if you can cover it up. But when it's caught, Katie bar the door, the bank gets butchered by the FDIC according to the FDIC Act of 1991. They've got to have early resolution. I think we need proper forensics. Only fools rush in. Proper forensics. Oh man, the risk. Getting caught. The FDIC Act of 1999 or 1991 allows the butchering, but the FDIC Act, in 1999 they abolished basically the act, which was the Glass Steagall Act. Glass Act. Here it is. Yeah, the Glass Steagall Act of 1933 are supposed to have stopped banks from being able to get too large to sell other financial services. All banks are doing it because in 1998, Citibank decided they wanted to do it, so they would pass a law in 1999 allowing Bill Clinton to see the light. Bill Clinton, I think you have a wire in your head. I would like to examine you for insanity. I'd like to make banks go back to being banks. They've gone far enough. It's time to pass the butter around. Maybe protect our own markets a little bit here in the United States. This is Kurt Brown, also known as Saint Rambone. Oh, man. So, let me see. Now testing for risk. Keep testing for that risk, boys and girls. It's out there. You can find it. Let me use a little analogy here. If you go down and find a streetwalker and you say, I want to test you for risk, but I don't really exist, so I'm not going to use any protection, and I'm going to bend you over there and just use you all night long. Well, the next day, your body will sing another song. You were actually there. Bill Clinton had a wire in his head, ladies and gentlemen. Whenever Wachovia Bank fell, it signals that the United States government had to pick this up. There will be other big banks falling. My name is Kurt Brown, also known as Saint Rambone, explaining why your banking system is why it is. You can expect another bubble to burst. You can expect your American dollar to become less than the American peso unless changes are made. That's the way it is, folks. Kurt Brown, Agent Saint Rambone, Mobile Audit Club, Mobile Audit Club, Mobile Audit Club sends you the dues, sweet Carol. I need a job, sweet Carol. FDIC, Treasury. I'll do it all on barter, baby. I'll do it all on barter today. I'll do it on